Today, we're digging into the origin story of a true footballing superpower. We're going to look at how Real Madrid, after almost 2 decades of frustration, created this incredible spirit of impossible comebacks back in the 1980s, a spirit that still defines them to this day.
So, let's start with a phrase that is key to this whole story: miedo escénico. It translates to stage fright, and it's all about that intense, intimidating vibe the home fans create at Real Madrid's stadium, the Santiago Bernabéu. It would become, you could say, their secret weapon.
Because, in the early 1980s, Real Madrid was kind of a sleeping giant. I mean, sure, they were a big deal in Spain, but on the European stage, where their reputation was built, they'd really lost their touch.
Get this, it had been 19 years since the club had lifted a major European trophy. 19! The last time was way back in 1966. For a club like Madrid, that's not just a drought, it's an eternity.
So where did the solution come from? Not from some expensive superstar signing, but from right inside the club. They turned to their own youth academy, La Fábrica, to bring back the magic.
And out of that academy came a whole new generation, a group of 5 incredibly skilled homegrown players. A Spanish journalist gave them this amazing nickname, La Quinta del Buitre, which means the Vultures cohort. And, well, they were about to change everything.
The leader of the pack was this super smooth striker, Emilio Butragueño. His nickname was the Vulture, and that's where the group got its name. But he was joined by this incredible cast of players who had all come up through the ranks together, so they had this deep love for the club already built in.
Okay, so their first real test came in the 1984-85 UEFA Cup, and this is where it all happens. This is where they didn't just win a trophy, they created a legend. The legend of the Remontada, the comeback.
All right, so check this out. In the third round, they head over to Belgium to play Anderlecht, and they get totally taken apart, a 3-0 loss. For any other team, that's it. Tie's over, pack your bags.
But this wasn't just any other team, and the Bernabéu wasn't just any stadium. For that second leg, the crowd created that miedo escénico we talked about, pure intimidation. It was Jorge Valdano, one of the players, who actually coined the term. The other team wasn't just playing against 11 guys, they were playing against 80,000 screaming fans and the history of the whole stadium.
And the result? It was absolutely insane. Madrid didn't just squeak by. They destroyed Anderlecht, 6-1. They came back from a 3-goal deficit to win by 2. This wasn't just a win, it was a statement. The legend was born.
And it wasn't a one-off, not at all. They did it again in the semifinals. Lost 2-0 to the Italian giants Inter Milan in the first leg, then they came home and beat them 3-0. Unbelievable.
They cruised through the final against Videoton from Hungary, and just like that nearly 20-year wait for a European trophy, it was finally over.
So, let's jump to the next season. The big question on everyone's mind is, could they possibly do it again? I mean, defending a European title is one of the hardest things to do in football. Doing it with even more crazy comebacks seemed pretty much impossible.
Now, the team had this new weapon, the amazing Mexican striker Hugo Sanchez. But they faced their toughest challenge yet. In the third round, they went to Germany and got completely crushed, 5-1, by Borussia Mönchengladbach. A 4-goal deficit. This time, there was no way. Surely this was a comeback too far.
Okay, just look at this timeline. It's like something out of a movie. Valdano scores 2 early goals, and suddenly the stadium starts to believe it can happen. Then, with time just ticking away, the veteran forward Santillana scores. And then, in the 89th minute, just when you think they're going to fall short, he scores again. The winner. It was pure magic.
So let's just be clear about how insane this was. They won the game 4-0, which made the total score 5-5. They went through because of that one measly away goal they scored in Germany. They had clawed their way back from an impossible situation, and doing that really sealed this never-say-die attitude into the club's very soul.
And you're not going to believe it, they had to pull off another comeback against Inter Milan, again, in the semis. After that, they thumped Köln in the final and lifted the trophy, becoming the first club ever to win the UEFA Cup 2 years in a row.
So this fighting spirit, this miedo escénico that was forged in the fire of those 80s comebacks, it didn't just fade away. It got baked into the club's DNA. It created this culture of winning that's led to decades of dominance.
And you could really draw a straight line from those comeback kings of the 80s to the trophy-winning machine of today. The birth of that remontada spirit really laid the groundwork for all the success that came later.
And that legacy, it's perfectly summed up by one competition, the UEFA Super Cup. Real Madrid holds the record with 6 titles. That's more than any other club in Europe.
What's so wild when you look at this list is just how long they've stayed at the top. These wins aren't all from one golden team. They span decades, from the Galacticos back in 2002 all the way up to the modern champions in 2024. It just proves that winning culture gets passed down from one generation of players to the next.
Which kind of leaves us with one final thought, right? When you see Real Madrid pull off another last-minute winner or an unbelievable comeback today, is it just skill? Is it just luck? Or is it maybe the ghost of those wild nights in the 1980s? That tough, never-give-up attitude. That's the real secret to the club's never-ending glory.